In the beginning, there was this confusion where people didn't know what they had, didn't know what to call it. Doctors were confused. They had all sorts of different eponyms were coming out at the time. One was acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, and that was abbreviated AIDS. The average life expectancy at the time was about 12 months. So there were times when I would lose basically a patient every day, over 300 deaths per year. And many physicians refused to care for patients with HIV. They were afraid they were going to get HIV themselves. People didn't know what this was that was going on. But it seemed like you got closer to these patients than you were to any other patient, because they needed you so desperately because there was nothing else available for them. And the very fact that you would care for them or even touch them many times. I had a patient that was referred to me from several others. He says, "You're the first doctor that touched me." And so it was tough back then. By the time we got to about 1986, the epidemic was more or less in explosion phase. But by that time, you were really getting to know your patients, and part of the things I learned about them was how much exercise they were doing, what kind of exercise they were doing, and how they were eating. It was very clear to me at the time, as I learned more about the day-to-day activities of these patients, that those who had the best nutrition did the best with their HIV infection. But I had no knowledge of why fruits and vegetables were so important in our diet. My own diet. One of the things I learned, particularly in intensive care units, the patients would come in with severe trauma. A decade earlier, they would have died very quickly. But the nutritional support that they were receiving was really changing their outcomes significantly. And working with dietitians and hospitals, nutritional support people, came to learn about these things called phytochemicals, I like to call them phytonutrients, and realized that there's large and small molecules in fruits and vegetables, micronutrients, as opposed to protein, fat, carbohydrate, fiber, and water, which are macronutrients. These micronutrients, I realized, were becoming more and more known and more recognized as being very important. The foundation of health is a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, grapes, and berries. In my practice, I continue to recommend a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. I like the term eat the rainbow. I told them to eat the color. The color was good for you, and do that as much as you can. In the intensive care units, it was tough because there was no way they could eat. They were being fed with a tube. They had a tube in their throat to oxygenate them. There was no way that they could get the nutrition of a fruit or a vegetable. And then in May of 1995, a fellow internal medicine doctor came up to me and told me he had come across something called Juice Plus. It's concentrated fruits and vegetables in a capsule. I said, voila, this is what my patients need. They have indigestion, they have diarrhea, they cannot consume fruits and vegetables, and this is perfect for my patients. So I started to take Juice Plus. I started to recommend it to my patients in 1995, and I did it until I retired. And I really think I saw a big impact for those patients. I think living life to the plus is be everything that you can and bridge the gap between what you should eat and what you do eat by adding Juice Plus to your daily nutrition. The next best thing to fruits and vegetables.